Hi, welcome back to another video. I'm Yolandi, your personal style and confidence coach, and this week we are talking about the 5 reasons it's worth it to develop your own personal style. So before we talk about that, let's talk about what is a signature personal style and why do I need it? Your signature style is your unique blend of personal preferences and beliefs or attitudes exhibited through your style. And this creates a unique aesthetic that is individually you. So why do I need one? Well, there are a number of reasons you would want one, especially if you happen to be in the entrepreneurial space. Let's start with reason number 1. Reason number 1 is that you'll stand out from the crowd. And in standing out from the crowd this way, it'll boost your self-esteem. So let's face it, when you look differently, people notice you. Whether that's a good look or a bad look, people are going to notice you. And let's also be honest about the fact that it feels really good to be complimented. And when we get compliments on the things that we've chosen to adorn our fabulous bodies with, it feels really good. Our brain likes to equate the fact that we made this choice to the fact that we're good at making choices and we're a good person, we have worth. And while that sounds like crazy, think about the last time you got a compliment, how good it felt to get that compliment. And the next time you say it was a compliment on your necklace, the next time you wore that necklace, you thought about that compliment. And maybe you started wearing that necklace more often because it feels good to get complimented, and that's okay. It's okay to feel good about those things. So let's move on to reason number 2. It's important to discover your authentic self, to be true to yourself. It's important to discover your authentic self so that you can be true to yourself. So in order to create your own personal signature style, you have to know yourself really, really well. Creating this blend of pieces and accessories, makeup, hair, all into one unique look that is just you requires you to know, what do you like? What don't you like? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? And while all of this feels like, well, what does this have to do with clothing and fashion? It has everything to do with it, because every time you are spending money on your clothes, you are voting for a company's morals and what they stand for as a person. So if you don't know what you stand for, how can you evaluate whether or not a retailer who is asking you to buy their products aligns with what you believe and whether or not it's something you should support or send your money elsewhere? Let's look at it this way. Have you ever put something on and immediately looked in the mirror, thought to yourself, that is not me? Or sometimes you didn't even try it on. Maybe you just got it as a gift and you picked it up, looked at it and went, that's not my style. That's not me. It can feel, and while it can feel daunting trying to understand all the nuances that make us who we are, all the things that we stand for, knowing what you don't like is actually the best place to start, because knowing what you don't like can point you to what you do like. So say you were given something that was boring. It was a very simple garment. There was nothing interesting about it. Well, you know that you don't like simple. Therefore, you would, by logic, be gravitated to the things that are the opposite of simple. Things like complicated pieces, interesting pieces, artistic pieces, rather than something that you would deem plain, simple, and boring. So knowing these preferences and what you don't like is a great way to find out what you do like. That brings us to reason number 3. It is worth it to develop your personal signature style. It saves you not only time, but also money. By knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you're going to save yourself so much time and money because it immediately eliminates all the other possibilities. Everything that you are looking at and you know immediately is not you, then you can just completely discount it. If you have a lot in your closet and you feel like you have nothing to wear, chances are that you haven't been shopping according to what you actually resonate with and have just been buying willy-nilly. Maybe you've been experimenting with your style because you're not really sure what it is that you want. Maybe you're trying to make a change. That's all well and good. But if you continue to experiment without guidelines, you can easily overspend and put yourself in a situation where you do have a closet full of hundreds of pieces and nothing to wear. The other part about this is by developing your signature style and your vocabulary of keywords, which I talked about on the podcast recently. This is something that you can use to emphasize one style personality over the other. If you have a full list of your personalized mix of style personalities, then you can pick and choose which part of yourself you are emphasizing and at what points. So for example, my top 3 are classic, street, and boho. I have some subtypes in there, romantic and edgy, and it shifts depending on the time of year. Right now in the winter, I tend to gravitate towards the classic and pull that edgy from a subtype up to a main type. I wear a lot of dark things and a lot of simple, timeless pieces. In the summer, that's less so. In the summer, I tend to gravitate more towards my boho, edgy, romantic. Those 3 tend to move right up to the top, sometimes with a little bit of prep in there. So seasonally, your tastes and preferences are going to shift, and by having those more clearly defined and the vocabulary to support them, you can emphasize whatever part of your personality feels most like you in that moment. Bonus here is that boredom also decreases, because by having these various personalities that you can lean on in your style, you can easily, like I said, emphasize one personality over the other, but you're not getting bored because it's always the same thing. So if you were given, say, a style personality of classic with a subtype of preppy, you're always classic or you're always preppy. You only have the 2 to work with. And really, you should be working with at least 4, if not 6. And I've seen some people use all 8. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you are limited to just one style personality, you get bored real quick because everything feels the same. And sameness is boring. So let's move along to number 4. This allows you to stay on top of changing trends while still maintaining your individuality. So when the word trend comes up, it tends to conjure up all these images of mindless crowds just following whatever comes along because it's the new thing. If you've ever seen the movie The Wiz, there's a scene where he goes into, I believe it's the Emerald City, and they're singing all about what the new color is. You know, and it changes frequently from red to green. You wouldn't be caught dead in red. You've got to be seen in green. And yes, I believe those are actual lyrics. It's been a very long time, but I'm gonna go with it. And everybody in the crowd on the street in this city is changing the colors that they're wearing according to the mood of, I don't even know what actually, but everyone seems to agree that when red is out and green is in, well, red is out and you can't wear it anymore. And this is what I always think of when the word trend comes to mind, because everyone wants to wear what's in, what's new, what's now, and be one step ahead of the crowd. However, this comes at the expense of your individuality. And by having your personal style developed, you know whether or not something works for you or doesn't work for you. So when a new trend comes up, you can easily evaluate it against your personalities, your style personalities, and decide whether or not it's for you and how much of it to incorporate, or whether you don't want to incorporate it at all. It also will allow you to use them to inject a little feel of freshness rather than feeling so bored and stale all the time, or the opposite, feel that you're afraid to incorporate too many because then you're a lemming. By having your personalities nailed down, completely defined, it allows you to communicate without words that you are a forward thinker, that you are on top of what is current. However, you're not a follower, you're a leader. It shows that, yes, I know what's current out there, but I'm not wearing it head to toe. I only took this one little piece because this is what resonates with me, and therefore it makes you appear more of a leader than a follower. Which brings us to our last reason it's worth it. Number 5, it allows you to, it increases your connection with like-minded people. Now, this is what I did the podcast episode on. I talked about it really in depth. So some quick points here are, when you find your vibe, you find your tribe. It's really that simple. When your sense of style is connected to what you believe, it becomes a beacon for others who believe the same things. It draws people to you who think like you, like a moth to the flame. You become the bug zapper that's hanging on the back, and everyone is flying towards you as a bright light because they are drawn to what you stand for, because it resonates with what they stand for. It's a way to start conversations with people and have that happen with ease. So if you're an introvert, this is perfect for you because it takes off the pressure of, oh, what do I talk about? You can easily say, hey, I like your necklace. And they can say, oh, thanks. And then you can ask, where'd you get it? And before you know it, you've made a new friend. On the flip side of that, if you haven't developed your style, what you're then wearing feels out of place and not like you. Like I said before, have you ever tried something on and it doesn't feel like you? The flip side of that is you wearing something that doesn't feel like you, attracting the wrong people to you, and then you feel out of place within your own friend group. If you have a friend group currently and you're feeling like, I don't belong here, maybe examine some of your wardrobe and what you're wearing versus what they're wearing. And I guarantee you'll find some choices that you've been making in your style that you probably don't feel 100% at home in, but you're just kind of defaulting to anyway. I encourage you to change those things and see what happens. Just do a little experiment and see how it goes. So I hope you found all these tips and reasons, rather. I hope you found all these reasons helpful as to why it's important to develop your style and what benefits it can have. And I encourage you to check out the podcast, listen to that last tip really in depth. I did such a deep dive on it, and I talked also about the keywords and how you can do that a little bit more. So check that out. And make sure that you hit the little like button and the little bell notification so that you never miss another style tip. And I will see you on all the rest of the socials. Till next time, mind your style.